Hey, Nikki Brown here, no matter where you are and no matter what part of the world you are in. I hope that you're having a good day. I got my little Rosa Parks tuck going on. So, it's time for As a Woman Thinketh. And it's basically almost the same wording as in As a Man Thinketh. So let me put things into perspective. I was born in New Jersey, and pretty much raised in northern New Jersey. When I was about 9 or so, I didn't move from one place to another. So I was born in one place and raised in another. And then I moved back to the original place. So I moved basically from, like, you would say, an urban area to a black suburb, I would say. And so the education was different, the experiences were different, the neighborhood was different. And so I have the urban experience within me, the suburban experience within me. And then I also have education. So I could kind of flip-flop back and forth, right? It's called code switching. For those of you who don't know, in academic terms, it's called code switching. So basically, if you speak in your regional dialect when you're communicating with family and friends, and then you go back to your work dialect or your collegiate dialect, or like work verbiage, whatever, it's basically called code switching. So you're basically switching from one code to another. And some people think that it's being fake, but again, there's a term for it, and it's called code switching because you may not necessarily speak your regional dialect to the people that you work with. They may not even understand it. So you have to meet people where they are, and you speak the language that they speak, basically. So, with that being said, I can go back and forth, right? But I often choose not to. I love who I am. For some people, it's boring or it's uninteresting, and they want to see the ghetto or the hood or the ratchet and all the different things, and that's fine. Everybody has a preference. And for some people, that's what they consider keeping it real. But this is really who I am, right? And again, if I feel like, talking slang, then I'll do that. But if I don't, I won't, right? So, as far as this is concerned, there's a foreword. And the foreword is by James Allen. And the part that I highlighted says, it is suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate the men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are makers of themselves by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage. That mind is the master weaver both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, and that as they may have hitherto woven in ignorance and pain, they may now weave in enlightenment and happiness. And I didn't even reread this before I started reading it just now. I originally bought these I think it was in November or December. But it's been at least 2 months because it's now February. And I read both of them. Basically, when I got them, started reading them on the flight and then pretty much finished them up on the way back home. So, I'm glad I started this video out the way that I did. our thoughts become things. So whatever we think, we become. Whatever we think, that's who we are. And I've grown a lot. For those of you who know, I do have a life coaching certification, and I'm also a certified yoga teacher, or some may call it a yogi. So my thoughts are not the same as they were. And people do change, and it is okay for people to change. That doesn't mean that they think they're better than somebody or any of those things that people say that are pretty foolish, because people feel insecure about themselves, or they're intimidated, or they're jealous and envious because they wish they had the courage and the strength to do the same thing. But I'm not going to get into that, right? The aphorism, as a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she, not only embraces the whole of a woman's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of her life. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous and unpremeditated. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of continued effort in right thinking. The effect of long cherished association with God-like thought, right? So, some people are elevating to a higher spiritual level, and that does mean something different to everybody, because some people are religious and some people just consider themselves to be spiritual. So that is going to look different for each individual, and it's okay. I don't judge anybody. A lot of times people who are religious, they will judge, you have to do it this way, or then it's not right. But we're not here for that. We're here to learn from one another. And one of the things that we can learn from is our differences, because our differences make the world go round. And, there are some very unreligious people who have more integrity, compassion, empathy, and respect than some people who are considered religious, or who consider themselves religious. So I say, don't judge a book by its cover. It says, a woman is the master of her thought, the molder of her character, and the maker and shaper of her condition, environment, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the lord of her own thoughts, woman holds the key to every situation and contains within herself that transforming and regenerative agency by which she may make herself what she wills. Woman is always the master, even in her weakest and most abandoned state. But in her weakness and degradation, she is the foolish master who misgoverns her household. She is the maker of her character and the molder of her life and the builder of her destiny. She may unerringly prove, if she will watch, control, and alter her thoughts, tracing their effects upon herself, upon others, and upon her life and circumstances. This will be considered as a means of obtaining that knowledge of herself, which is understanding, wisdom, and power. And I'm actually skipping around, but I'm making it make sense. A woman's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. Thought and character are one, and as character are one, and as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to the inner state. This does not mean that a woman's circumstances at any given time are an indication of her entire character, but that those circumstances are so intimately connected with some vital thought element within herself that for the time being, they are indispensable to her development. Every woman is where she is by the law of her being. The thoughts which she has built into her character have brought her there, and in the arrangement of her life, there is no element of chance but all is the result of a law which cannot err. Out of harmony, contented. As a progressive and evolving being, a woman is where she is, that she may learn, that she may grow, and as she learns the spiritual lesson which any circumstance contains for her, it passes away and gives place to other circumstances. When a woman earnestly applies herself to remedy the defeats in her character and makes swift, marked progress, she passes rapidly through a succession of vicissitudes. And it looks like that's all I highlighted. And I think that's enough. I'm not going to be reading anymore. I know that As a Man Thinketh, I read several excerpts, but kind of like I said, a lot of the information is the same. A lot of the words are exactly the same. It's just applied to women instead of men. And again, it's about how we think. So you can think that somebody's doing something to you, or you can see it as an experience. You can say somebody did something to you or said something to you, or you can see it as a lesson that you needed to learn from, or you can see it as something that happened for you, right? Because everything does happen for us, even if we don't understand it at that moment. And sometimes if we take the time to be calm, or to not panic, or to not stress, and we see the good in the situation. Some people don't like the term half full, but if we at least see the glass half full, but seeing it half full could also have a negative connotation depending on how you look at it. Because someone pointed that out to me recently. So just always make the best of every situation, and the best of life will unfold, right? Of course, all of our thoughts are not going to be perfect, because it's not even about being perfect. It's about being the best version of yourself, showing up and showing out as you need to, and get it done. If somebody's not recognizing or acknowledging you, whether it be in a relationship or within your family circle, at a job, whatever that situation, acknowledge yourself, praise yourself, take yourself out, treat yourself, right? You don't have to look for outside validation. And I think that's one of our biggest issues, looking for outside validation. You don't have to go outside of yourself to be validated, to be recognized, to be heard. You have your own voice, right? If especially as a woman, and not being in a relationship, if somebody's not giving you what you want, don't deal with it. It's really that simple, right? If someone doesn't call you, that means they're not interested in calling you. If someone is not taking you out, they're not interested in taking you out. It really saddens me when I see women who may meet a man, and let's say their first meeting and they have not slept together. It's like, oh, he said he was going to call me. Why didn't he call me? And then when he finally does call, it's like, oh, you said you was going to call me. Why didn't you call me? And blah, blah, blah. Why do all of that? Why put yourself on? Just X him out. Whether you choose to still talk to him or not is totally up to you, right? But he's a no. Right? So at that point, you shouldn't even consider sleeping with him unless you just want to. And that's fine too. But you know that you can't take this person seriously because this person is not serious about you. Right? If somebody doesn't keep their word, it's because they don't want to. Right? 9 times out of 10, they have at least one other option, if not several options. And you're not the one who's putting out or doing what they want or have what they want. And so they're not really truly interested in you. You're just, something to pass the time, something to entertain them. And again, if you feel like being entertained, then, be entertained. But again, this is not someone that you should take seriously, because this person is not serious, right? If somebody's serious about you, you'll know it. And we are told in this society that men have more options than women do. I don't necessarily believe the statistics are here. I think it's just propaganda to get people to, to not enter relationships, because they feel like they can continue to explore their options until they felt like they've met the one, the perfect one. And that's one of the reasons why there's an old man epidemic too, because they're searching for something that doesn't truly exist, right? Or they're overlooking people that they shouldn't overlook. So let's say, for example, a lot of, let's say a guy's been with 11 women. The first 10 women made it very easy for him, and the 11th woman didn't make it easy for him. So in his mind, he tells himself, oh, she must not really like me. She must not really want to be with me. When that may not be the case at all. She may just have high standards. She may just have morals, values, and sensibilities that will not allow her to just put out as soon as she meets somebody just because she likes him. She might wait 6 months. She might wait a year, right? I remember somebody telling me, oh, you're one of those 9-month kind of girls. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And I was like, what does that even mean? And he wouldn't tell me. He was like, nothing. Oh, don't worry about it. Like, huh? But that's basically what he meant. Like, I'm the type of woman that will probably make him wait 9 months. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But again, you can tell if somebody's serious about you. And if they're not, they're just not. And you move on with your life because it's okay. Because again, you don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. They don't have to like you. And that's okay too. Everybody's not for everybody. But everybody will, have their loins massaged if allowed to. Right? But this is not somebody you're going to ever be in a long-term relationship with or settle down with. Like, this person is probably just using you. And again, if you're using each other and you're okay with that, then by all means do you. But changing your mindset about how that works is going to make all the difference in the world. And it's up to us to change our mind. And again, you don't have to succumb to what society wants you to do. You can be your own person. You can choose your own lane. Right? Like I said, I can code switch if and when I want to. And I do. Depending on who I'm talking to. I meet people where they are. So if somebody comes to me, speaking a certain way, I will meet that energy. But again, if somebody takes me out of who I really want to be, which is, someone who's not that anymore, then I know that that's not someone I would ever take seriously. That could never be somebody that I would deal with. It's just for kikis. So, you see, take that into consideration if you want to. But the way that we think shapes the things that unfold in our life. And that's just the reality of life. And there's nothing you can do to change that except to change your thoughts. As always, I love y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Mwah.